Welcome to the Cleveland Browns halftime show. I'm your host, a jovial, big and furry bovine. And the Browns are losing 2,497 to 3. And I got to be honest with you. I mean, I can only laugh because it couldn't possibly be worse. It just couldn't be. Yeah, God, it's like, I should be the guy who calls people, it's like, yeah, your son, he was brought into the hospital. He's dead. I don't know what to do but just laugh through the graveyard, It's like, things couldn't possibly be worse. Now, could they? All right, let me talk about Kevin Hogan real quick because we should never see him again. I mean, really, never see him again. All right, first of all, let me explain to you what's happening. He's throwing interceptions. No, I'll be serious now. I can't be serious. It's just funny when you read the forums and people are so hopeful. Okay, we got the quarterback. It's like, yeah, you got him all right. First of all, one of the things that is apparent, Kevin Hogan, is that his arm is deficient. Okay, I mean, I don't think we could see it in garbage time, but you can definitely see it in press coverages that the ball doesn't get to the spot in time. And plus, he's rattled and he's throwing the ball high. He's sailing the ball. But I do see something that is causing the lateness of these throws and the problems. The mechanical issue is every time he goes back to pass, he's like a pitcher who tips his pitches. And I don't mean by staring down receivers. I mean, he drops back, and right as he's going to throw, he pats the ball. I don't know if you notice this, but this would be dissuaded by any coaching staff who would have any input whatsoever because time is of the essence in delivering passes. That pat on the ball that he's giving every time before he throws is exactly the beat that the pattern's off. And of course, the defensive men in press coverage have the opportunity, and they'll be in press coverage because we have no receivers who can get open and beat man-to-man press coverage. They get that extra step. And what will wind up happening is either the ball will get there late and get batted down or it will be intercepted. This is hell. Okay, if you're a fan, this is hell. And the reason it's hell is because you're going to see Kaiser in the second half. And then that will be hell. And the only one who won't get to play is Cody Kessler, who obviously raped Hugh Jackson's daughter. I mean, maybe I think Cody Kessler is the Harvey Weinstein of the Cleveland Browns because, they didn't have a problem playing Hogan. And honestly, if you're looking at deficient arms, I would say that Hogan is right there with Kessler or Kessler is right there with Hogan. But all we saw was a small sample of Hogan because it was garbage time and the teams weren't playing tight coverage. Well, now that you see that this is happening, this is what's happening in real time. Now, let me talk about something else besides the obvious inadequacy of the quarterback. When Deshaun Watson, the good Deshaun, the one who spells his name properly, when he says, "Oh yeah, Hugh Jackson texted me on the day of the draft saying, be ready," that just tells me again that the head coach and the front office were not on the same page, completely out of step. So Hugh wanted Watson and the front office didn't. The front office didn't even bother telling Hugh what they were going to do. And consequently, Hugh's embarrassed. And no wonder Hugh doesn't want to talk about what happened on draft day because it would be embarrassing to tell the world that the front office, who had no football experience, was not paying any attention to him. Again, I'm going to compare this to my life, okay, which is hard to do because I'm kind of used to winning, but it would be like buying a radio station, okay, and staffing it with people who had never been on the radio before. I mean, could you imagine if day one of, I purchased my radio stations in, Binghamton, New York, or Flint, Michigan, or the other places I've been, and put the station on the air and put a guy in front of a microphone who's never talked into a microphone before. He's never done a radio show. He wouldn't know what buttons to push on at the time we used boards, buttons that started the songs. Wouldn't know what button to push, wouldn't realize which switch turned his microphone on, wouldn't know when to talk, wouldn't know what to say. I mean, and if you listen to that radio station, you go, oh my God, this is awful. Well, this is what we have in Cleveland. A bunch of front office people who have no football experience running the show. And it's even worse because they're not just disc jockeys who are playing records. They're the people in charge making decisions, and people who actually have some amount of football experience are forced to take orders by people who don't. And as a direct result of this, we end up with these horrible decisions that are being made. And so the quarterback is just one of them. Hi to Guess 190 Arbus, Colonel Klink. That'll be the last time you can use that joke, Bronk. Clark Moore. Oh, no, that is Bronk. I don't know who Colonel Klink is, but it's the last time you'll be able to use the joke. Sundance, Wiley Fox, and Tony the Calf and the Tom H. Fraulein Helga is getting a start next week. You got that right. Danville, Illinois, that's the other one. That's correct, Bronk. And I didn't put amateurs on the air, even in a town of 30,000 people. So, you know, what I can tell you is this. When you have people who are non-football people making decisions, obviously, and then the story comes out when the rookie tells the truth and Hugh just runs away from the truth, you got a lot of problems on your hands. Next, the play calling. At 3rd and 2, why is Hogan throwing a bomb downfield that gets intercepted when he needs 2 yards? That I can't figure out. Why are 90% of the passes out patterns to the sideline when the guy has a deficient arm? Where is the middle of the field? Where is the screen pass? Where is any of this? I have no idea. Why do we keep running Isaiah Crowell to the outside? I have no idea. So the play calling is no better than it was. The difference is that we don't have a quarterback. And, you know, when we get into the red zone, why is it we're turning the ball over every time we get into the red zone? And I just think it's a matter, well, today it's a matter of a guy whose ball is sailing, and, you know, he got away with one, and the very next pass, you know, Joseph took it to the house. I think that it's just bad execution, and I think the receivers have no separation anyway. So, you know, This is what it is, but it's, you know, from a defensive perspective, let's talk about that for a minute. The touchdown pass that went deep, I don't know. At some point, you have to look at the coaching staff and say, either take these people off the field because they don't know what to do, or they don't understand the scheme. You're going to have to explain it to them real simply, like they're 4-year-olds. And then you have to realize that they're 4-year-olds and they're going to forget. You have to remind them again. But I mean, when a guy like Jamar Taylor passes the receiver back, and of course, Jabril Peppers is 40 miles in the other direction, I'm going to refer to him as the free range free safety, because they give him more room to wander like they do chickens on a farm. So he will be now known as the free range safety, which is more humane for Jabril, so that he doesn't incur encephalopathy earlier in his life. You know, how can you pass off a receiver to a guy who's 25 yards behind the line of scrimmage? It's just mind-boggling to me. It's like, who is he turning it over to? I don't know. The guy trotted his pattern. There was no resistance whatsoever. I mean, I look at it, it's like, holy moly, how is this possible? And the answer is they just, the decisions that are being made by the players on the field, by the coaches on the sideline, by the front office. You know, again, you wanted an experiment to find out what it was to have analytics-based non-football people in operative positions in your, you know, in your organization. Now you know, Slick Blow. I mean, now you understand, you know, there is such a thing as tried and true for reason. And I don't know anybody who would hire somebody. I don't know a hospital that would hire a nurse who had never nursed before, although there are probably licenses involved and you couldn't do it. But I don't know why somebody would hire a chef who had never cooked, or a guy who is a breakfast line, cook, and bring him in for fine dining restaurant. I don't know why you would do that, but this organization and Jimmy Haslam are doing that. And it's obvious that the results are negative. And, we're back to square one with the Randy Lerner argument that it doesn't seem to matter because whatever Jimmy Haslam does, if he's dumb enough to do this, he's dumb enough to do something else, and it's not going to work out. So he's going to hire the wrong person no matter what. He doesn't know. He's never owned a football team before. And so we just don't know. So if you don't know what to do, you're going to make the wrong decision every time. And you're not going to be able to bring in any astounding people with football experience because they're not going to want to have anything to do with a stupid owner like that. And nor is any defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator going to want to have anything to do with coming here. It's a graveyard. It is a killer of reputation. So this is, every week is a new low week, but I think we know why it's a low week. It's because the decisions that we make when we're not playing football lead to having these types of situations on the field. With this group of players, you're never going to win. And Greg Williams doesn't know what to do from a defensive coordinator position. I mean, if you've got people who are thick as a brick, let's be honest. You know what Jamar Taylor's nickname in Miami was? It was Toast. That's what they called him, Toast. And now you're seeing why. I mean, you just don't, and he's your starting guy who's considered your best coverage defensive back, and he was called Toast at his previous team and was cut. I mean, gotten rid of. I mean, they didn't want to have anything to do with him. So, wow. All in all, as bad as it could possibly be. And, I predicted over at my friends Hi at the OBR.com that we would see Kaiser again in this football game because that's the way it goes for the Browns. There is no easy answer. There is no instant remedy for all of the bad decisions, all the bad players, all the bad schemes, all the bad play calling, deficient armed quarterbacks or inexperienced quarterbacks or whatever. There's no quick fix, and there is no long-term fix as long as you keep making the wrong decisions in the interim. So we just keep pushing the clock back further and further and further. So, and you can see now they're showing 11 for 21 for Hogan. Last week it was 8 for 17. They complete less than 50% of their passes. They have no yardage and they turn the ball over. And I see Hogan still has a helmet on. So, oh boy, we get to see another half of this. 3 interceptions by Kevin Hogan, and he's nowhere near the target, and the receivers aren't open anyway. Hey, we're beginning the third quarter. I'll be back after the game to talk about the final realizations. Enjoy the second half, everybody, and I'll see you after the game. Bye-bye.